Hey YouTube, welcome back to Universe X, and today we're going to talk about the elephant in the Dragon Ball Super card game room, that being Android 17 Most Valuable Player from the brand new 2022 Championship Volume 1. Before we get into that, I want to do the normal plugs. If you haven't already, try hitting up the official Dragon Ball Super Facebook group where these spoilers and announcements are made that have us sparking these sort of conversations. You can also follow the Dragon Ball Super community discussion group, which is the group where we do talk about all these things. You have other groups like, just the Reddit, where people have the discussion there in a text-based form. You're going to have places like the Universe X Discord, where you can talk about anything Dragon Ball Super card game related or beyond. If you want to talk about it, I'll make a channel for it, pretty much. And then you've got the Facebook group. As per usual, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. These links are all down in the description, but I also have more channels for even more Universe X content, such as UniXDB, which is going to be my, which is like where I play Dragon Ball related video games, and then UniX Gacha, where I play pretty much any Gacha game that I feel like playing at the time. Right now, focuses on My Hero Academia, Ultra Impact. Last but not least, we've got TCGMetalZ making great work, just massive artisan strides, and making metal leaders that are just really cool to play and add a bit of flair to your deck that wasn't there already, as awesome as our card art already is. So with all that being said, I'd also like to add that you can save 10% off of any purchase on TCGMetalZ by putting in the code UNIX at checkout. So just kind of do that. Helps me out, helps him out. Awesome. So yeah, now moving forward to the actual video, right? The buzz is we just got these cards spoiled. None of the 5 cards, some of them interesting, we just got Android 17 Most Valuable Player. Activate main, Sparking 5. If your leader card is a red Universe 7 card and you send this card from your drop area to your warp, your leader card gains Invoker until the end of your next turn. So there's a lot of speculation and buzz going on about this, okay? Because Invoker is a deck that has incredibly powerful cards, all right? But they're all extra cards and they're all fairly high costed, and the only way that you can cheat them out is this Invoker keyword. An Invoker keyword just states that as long as something on your board has Invoker, instead of paying the actual cost to a red-blue extra card, you can just tap 1 red-blue energy and play it. So that is the thing. Previously, the only way to turn this on and consistently keep it on was SSB Vegeta Inspired Technique. He is a just 3-drop, and that can already be costly in most decks, but he's got Barrier, Deflect, and Invoker, amongst other things. So that's the crazy part. You'd have to invest 3 energy, and of course he's got Barrier. So generally he's gonna stick. Barrier and 1900 attack, you have to actually kind of really invest some energy in specific cards into clearing him off the board. That being said though, he is still a 19k, so most cards that go through Barrier will snipe him, and on top of that he is a battle card, and there's more and more through Barrier hate that's being released every day, so he was vulnerable. But the whole point is, if Invoker was powerful in the format, you would make sure that you were maining cards that could take this guy off the board to cut them off. Why would you cut them off? Because they have a considerable amount of firepower already. Let me just go over some of the cards that they have, okay? Tyranny's Cost. You've got a activate main, draw 2 cards, and if your opponent has 11 or more cards in hand, they choose cards in their hand and shuffle them into their deck until they have 10 cards in hand. Now, this seems kind of weird, right? But think about some of the decks that we're running around, okay? Icarus, this card would just like cut off 1/4 of their hand. Actually, sometimes even more. They could cruise at 16, 17. It could take off about half their hand. You got decks like Universe 7 Gohan. This would chop their hand in half too. There's a lot of decks that Tyranny's Cost would actually just neg 5, 6, or 7 while your opponent draws 2 cards for 1 energy. You go down further, you got Emperor's Death Beam, one of the best removal cards of all time. Activate main/battle, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring Barrier, and it gains minus 30,000 power for the duration of the turn. A card like this is wild because it even prevents it can prevent your opponent from establishing. Like, your opponent plays a Vegeta and like they go in for a swing, they have to have Emperor's Death Beam and activate main on your Vegeta, because you could definitely just blow out theirs. There is so much you can do with this card, and because it's a minus 30, even if your opponent is starting to combo on their card, you minus 30 on the base, they're battle card dies. Like, they could shotgun you for 300, but if they only have a 15k swinger and you Emperor's Death Beam it, congratulations, that boy dead 9 times out of 10 unless you actually added power to the card. Royal Condemnation. If your leader is the Universe 7 card and a battle card is being played, you know, energy cost of 8 or less, you just tuck it instead of letting it be played. And all 3 of these cards allow you to warp them from the grave to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a multicolor extra card, you can add it to your hand. The TOP Arena setting up the top 3, so you can normally hit this every time you want to resolve it. And then last but not least, you got Catastrophic Blow, and there's still like 1 or 2 more. That's just going to be able to burn your opponent for 1. Now, it got an errata, so you can only use it once per turn. It has limit 1 now, but it's still a very powerful card because that damage is reach. You know, if you stabilize, but you use this card 3 turns in a row and your opponent was at 3 life, that's game, you know? And this deck is very good at maintaining itself once it's stabilized. And you still have Apex, which is going to be able to come and do big damage. If you have the Goku on the board, the Energy Explosion, you're going to be able to play this and burn your opponent for 2. Meaning if your opponent's at half life, it only takes 2 resolutions of this with that boss card on the field to actually kill them. Now you've got Wearing This Together, which is a board wipe. That can be used on your turn for 1 energy. This is just a huge thing. So as you can see, Sleepy Boy technique, negate the attack, draw 2 cards and bounce something. This deck has gas, absolute gas. And the issue here now is that now it's not as simple as just turning off Vegeta. If they remove Android 17 from the game and give their leader Invoker, there are very few things that actually work to touch leader cards. Most decks don't have access to them. So that means until the end of your opponent's next turn, you are now going to be at the mercy of their massively powerful Invoker effects. And I'm not sure if any deck in the game right now can slog through an entire Invoker hand for multiple turns in a row. That being said, there's a couple things I think we should put into perspective here. 1, I don't mean to cry wolf, I don't mean to scare anybody, I don't mean to kind of put the flames up, but Android 17, I believe, is a likely due for an errata. The reason why I'm saying this is because just as early as I believe 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I have no concept of time, I'm just in and out making videos every day. This ruling, there was a ruling overturn with a ruling change and then an overturn to that change. And the ruling change was stating that effects that stay till the end of your next turn counted the current turn. So an effect like this, you would have activated it on your turn, and when you ended your turn, Invoker would have fallen off. This means that you would have had offensive Invoker power. You would have been able to board wipe with All in This Together the turn that you use this. You'd be able to use Emperor's Death Beam the turn you use this. If they try to play something during your turn, Royal Condemnation the turn you use this. Now, that significantly changed this card because you're going to be able to use it offensively, but then defensively, you don't have that Vegeta, congratulations, you don't have Invoker, and that's a huge part. Now, the other thing is that now that the ruling was overturned, there was a lot of community backlash, and they pretty much went back on the current ruling change. I'm still firmly here to believe that they did this because future cards actually had something to do with these end of your next turn. They didn't want to change all those cards' wording, so they just changed how it was interpreted. A little bit messy, but I still believe that that was what they were trying to do. So now that they've overturned this, this is a crazy 1 energy play to have Invoker for your turn and your opponent's turn. You have 4 of them in deck, and if you're getting your draws the way you need them to be, you're, cycling, you are setting up your top cards, you're getting your top card to be an extra card, you're removing an extra card, getting an extra card, swinging with your leader, getting your draw, you are going to put yourself in a position where you can string 2 to 3 of these in a row. And if you play 3 of these in a row, that is 6 turns between you and your opponent that you have Invoker. By the time you stop having Android 17 effects, you might be able to play a 3 energy Vegeta and not care, because you have 3 energies still untapped and stuff like that. So this is going to be an absolutely monstrous card the way that the current game is worded. And now you look over at the fact that, yeah, this now with the overturn, this is it's double the card it was. It's triple the card it was. Now, the impact of this is real because, like I was stating, looking at those Invoker cards, Invoker still is absolute gas. Most of the cards that are played there still hold their own in this current format. It was just a matter of getting to turn 3 in order to stabilize was rough. Getting to turn 3, having to awaken and then try to stabilize is rough. Now, you can start having Invoker effects as early as turn 2. Now granted, is that going to be the best? Maybe not. You may want to combo with Android 17, and then if you can have one more attack, which is unlikely in a control deck versus Invoker on turn 2, or like Invoker on turn 2, you can maybe Sensu Bean and have both your energy up. But the point is, you're going to be able to use this card on turn 3, and then just have 2 more energy up. And for Invoker, that's a lot. That's a lot. You can Death Beam, Sensu Beam, and then have 2 more responses. You can do so much with that. You can awaken and have all 3 of your energy up. There's just a lot you can do now that this is only going to cost 1 energy. But like I said, because this was probably made in mind with the previous wording, I do think we are in for an errata. I don't think they're going to ban this card. I don't. I think that would be foolish. You're not going to ban a card that just came out of a championship pack. I think they're going to errata it to stand more in line with the overturning of the previous kind of soft errata that they did to this. Now, the impact on the format though is going to be massive. Let's just, in a world where they don't touch this at all, where they don't errata it to stand in line with the ruling overturning, you are now looking at Invoker that's going to fall into a mid-range format / control format where the likes of Fu are not there to check it. Again, rest in peace to the Dark Knight. He wasn't exactly the best for the game, but he prevented horrors from springing up that we never were privy to before. Fu did his thing. He was vigilant. He was the Night Watch. He kept us safe so we didn't have to know the nightmares that lay beyond turn 6. But that being said, Android 17 is going to allow Invoker to exist in a format that is safe for Invoker. The only thing that kept Invoker out was, for the most part, Invoker could not survive the first 3 turns of the game against the current level of aggro. Now with Android 17, it has a very high chance of surviving its couple turns to stabilize. By the time it starts moving into the late game, you're going to get to or mid-game, late game, you're going to get to a point where it's stabilized, it still has resources, it's in full Invoker gear, and this is going to allow you to play control as well as like mid-range to control in the highest possible like standard. Except the only difference is that Invoker is a deck that's built with tools to erase part of your hand if you get too unruly. Invoker can still counterplay 8 drops. That means Kefla, lightning fast Kefla, gone. Like, screw you. Like, bing bong, like, it's just gonna be gone. You can minus 30k cards. That's absolutely huge. Like, and to be even further ahead, you have Apex. Whether you're playing Apex or whether you're trying to play Vegeta, right? I believe Vegeta works. I do believe Vegeta works. Let me actually check this real quick. But no matter what you're trying to do, you have clear finishers. You have finishers that will land and decisively end the game. Do you know how annoying it would be if your opponent had the energy explosion and you couldn't remove it, and they burned you for 2 with catastrophic blow, and then they played Vegeta, and then they burned you again? Or better yet, they cat blowed you on 1 turn for 2, and then next turn, I believe, if it's any burn damage, I don't think it needs to be burned from an extra card, but we can check that too. You have combinations of cards that you can use, and it starts getting very, very out of hand. Like, so this is yeah, you can use Vegeta. So this is kind of wild. You have options. Apex is clearly the better card for the archetype. It's way more powerful. But if you can't find your hands on an Apex, you got a set coming out with the Vegeta SER. There's a world where you really just are able to go in and potentially dominate this mid-range control format with a deck like Invoker. Now, the last thing I'm going to kind of touch upon here is that we do have a time frame for this. Lots of people want to know, when is this going to affect my tournaments? Well, the first times that these cards will be available for prizing will be Saturday, March 12th from the Carta Magica tournament. Then we're going to get a March 13th from Core TCG, okay? So, with the fests happening on 2 separate weekends. We got the 26th for Florida, right? And after the 26th for Florida, we also, I think, have the 19th for Texas. So that means that for Texas, there's only a single week for these tournament organizers to get their prizing in order, for it to be shipped. And then you didn't enter the tournament 8 times. So you're going to need to be able to buy from other people. So a single week for these tournaments to ship out their stuff, and then for people to resell it, and then for it to get shipped to those players. I don't think Texas is going to be influenced by these promos. And even the 26th for Miami, that's a stretch too. Because again, now you only have 2 weeks, and still, I don't think that these cards are getting out in the first week. We've seen in the past that sometimes it can take quite a bit for this prizing to come out, meaning that we could be looking at a thing where, you know, we have to get to Marches, or not Marches, we have to get to, let's see, we definitely have to get to like April's tournaments before these cards are live. And if this is the case, then we still have, you know, both Fest tournaments and even a couple, we have the regionals and some Fest tournaments before we even need to worry about what these cards are doing. And if that's the case, then I am so down for it, because if they don't change Android 17, we're probably looking at a format where Invoker is tier 0. And to have a deck 8, or that's 7 sets old, become tier 0 because of a promo card, that's some Konami level ish, and I don't really want that. So that being said, let me know your thoughts at the bottom, right? Just let me know your thoughts. If you like the content, think about hitting that subscribe button, that notification button, and you know, just kind of let me know your thoughts in general. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys the next time you decide to join Universe X. Thanks, and later.